Yeah, let's come to that time of the season when you've been talking to your players and seeing where the future lies. What can you tell us what you've done first of all?
Well, obviously we've got a situation where there's a lot of players who are on or were on 2-year contracts, so your hands are obviously tied in some ways with what you can do, and we all know that we need to make a lot of changes. But in terms of people who are out of contract or were out of contract, then we're obviously we had a couple of younger lads who had options, but all the other ones who contracts were running out, then obviously I'm not extending any of those. So then that would, take us into players who are under contract, and to try and free up some money, then I then have to start looking at trying to get rid of some players who are on contract for next season as well, and that's going to be difficult, but I have to try and do that.
Was your mind made up pretty quickly once you knew those who were out of contract that you weren't going to offer any more deals to them?
Well, I think the only way you can, like I say, to free up some money and to reduce the numbers, we weren't going to, unless somebody had done exceptionally well, then they weren't going to be staying. And then obviously you're looking at people who are under contract, and we're going to have to try and move some of those out to free up some money and to bring in some new players.
Just on a personal note for you, it's your first time in the Football League as a manager. You've been, of course, managing high level of non-league football. Has it been any different for you this time around in terms of, at this stage of the season, releasing players at a professional club?
No, none whatsoever. The problem the difficulty you always have is if you've managed at a club for a lot of years, like say at Halifax, where I was there for going into my 7th season, you obviously have players who you build up a relationship with, who've done a good job for you, and it's always difficult for sometimes to have the conversation that you're releasing them. But I've not got that sort of attachment with players here. But it's never an easy job, and it's difficult to tell younger lads that you don't want them at the club, but it's always an opportunity for them then to go somewhere else and to do well. So it's never the end of the road. It's always an opportunity. I look at it as an opportunity for somebody to go and do something elsewhere. But we've made changes with staff as well, which is my responsibility, which I felt needed to be done. But because the whole club needs a lot of change if we're going to move forward.
In terms of staff, can you tell us what that's about?
No, it's just there's going to be some changes behind the scenes, and we'll end up starting the season with some new personnel.
And in terms of one player, just in those players who are out of contract, Kel Knots, have you done anything with him, which has been a horrendous time? What's the update with him?
Yeah, the update with Kel is that the club has a duty to pay him until the end of July, and Kel would like the opportunity to come back in pre-season and really to put himself in the shop window, which he deserves that chance because he's worked so hard to come back, and I certainly wouldn't deny him the opportunity. But I'm also not the type of person that would be dishonest with him. But in the meantime, if he was to get a decent offer elsewhere or back to Holland, I'm sure he would take it. But at the moment, I expect that he'll come back in pre-season, he'll train with a view to impressing, to try and win a contract. But it will be difficult for him because he's not somebody that I've sort of earmarked to be in the team. But it would be silly to not have a look.
How big a job have you got? How big? Can you put it in words to your supporters who are listening to this interview? How big a job is it now? Is it bigger than when you first came?
I don't think a lot's changed from when I first came. We knew we were going to be in a struggle. I think Saturday, and I can mention Saturday, but I think then we've got to draw the line and say, right, this has been we all know what a bad season it's been, but it's over, and we've got to concentrate on the positive, which is to try and to improve and to go forward. So Saturday should remind people how difficult a job it's going to be, because it shows with loan players going back what we're actually got to work with. It should be a reminder of how difficult things will be, but all jobs can be done and it can all be turned around, but sometimes they take a little bit more time than you want. But Saturday summed up what a difficult job it's going to be.
And you've got to be fully confident, which you are, in your recruitment policy, that you will get the positive players in and move Port Vale forward.
Signing players is difficult. You're not going to get the players that are your number one choice. There's no question about that. There'll be some players you get that you're happy with, but there'll be others that they go to clubs higher than yourselves. And I've had a situation today where I talked to a player that we thought we could get, but he's had an offer now from a club in League One. And player will, you can't blame a player for wanting to play higher up. So yeah, you don't have any problem with that. But we must take positive steps in getting a better team out on the pitch, and a team that must perform better than they've done this year. So it's going to be hard work, but we've already made a start, and we're going to work hard to bring some players in. Yeah,
unfortunately, as you just mentioned, that door's shut for you on that one. Is there anybody close? Do you expect pretty imminent signings for you?
Well, we've got to. We all know what we need, and all the way through the team we need to make signings. I'm confident that we'll get them, but like I say, you don't get all your signings made straight away because people are talking to other clubs. But we need to make some, and there'll be some that, if you want to say, for example, want to sign a player that's under contract, then we will have to look to paying a fee for certain players as well, and that takes time to negotiate. So there's lots of, it's non-stop, and we'll be working every day to try and do it.
I think that's covered everything in terms of your recruitment side of it and your retain list. So let's move on to one or two other little things. Pre-season, have you scheduled fixtures?
Yeah.
Can you talk to us and tell us what you've got and where you're going? And
yeah, I think they've yet to be confirmed, but we are playing. We're going to play with Blackburn, which is going to be a big test for us. We're going to play Rotherham, we're going to play Blackpool, we're going to play Shrewsbury. So you could end up with Rotherham and Shrewsbury being the playoffs. You could end up playing two championship sides, which would be good. We're going to play 4 games at home, which I believe if we're going to have new signings in, they need to get used to playing at home. So that's why we want to have 4 good fixtures at home. We'll play a couple of non-league teams in that, of which one we have to play, because when we took Dior we had to play Redditch, so we'll play them. And I'm also hoping to play a team from the conference as well, so we'll probably have 7 fixtures for pre-season.
So that is really strong, and just for the first time we're speaking to you sort of in an early stage of close season, so it's only a couple of days after the end of the season. But how do you plan? How do you prepare your players once they've left the building? What was your sort of pre-season planning for them individually? Do they have that?
Well, they all got weighed before they left, and they'll obviously, as normal, if they don't meet the weight that we want when they come back, they'll get fined. So they need to be having a good level of fitness for when they come back. And I am strict on certainly on weights and keeping yourself in trim. But times have moved on. I don't expect players to come back not in good shape. And then we'll have a programme to do during the summer, and then we'll get them in, test them for what the fitness is like for a start off, and then we'll start on what we need to do to make sure we can be competitive in the league. But the be all and end all will be what players we bring in. That's, if we don't get players in and we don't get the right players in, then we're not going to move on and we're not going to improve.